Just now, the SEC blinked. The secret weapon that Ripple is keeping hidden is about to be unleashed, and when it does, XRP will not only skyrocket, it will completely destroy the top 10 cryptocurrencies. The dispute between Ripple and the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, is more than simply another cryptocurrency litigation. The regulatory standoff that is currently taking place is the single most significant in the history of blockchain technology, and what is taking on behind closed doors is beyond anything that the mainstream media is telling you. Ripple is reportedly already engaged in discussions with numerous countries across the world to roll out central bank digital currencies, also known as CBDCs. RippleNet and the XRP ledger are being used as the underlying infrastructure for these digital currencies, according to leaks from insider resources. Some nations such as Palau and Bhutan, as well as pilot projects in Europe and Asia, are currently in the process of secretly constructing systems that are meant to connect to Ripple's technology. However, that is not the end of it. Recent leaks from internal meetings, which have not been confirmed but are reliable, indicate that cooperation with over a dozen additional sovereign financial entities have taken place since the settlement. Not only does this demonstrate that XRP is useful, but it also makes its availability unavoidable. During the time when people all around the world are debating whether or not XRP is a security, artificial intelligence platforms and predictive modeling tools are already conducting simulations of the future price path of XRP based on adoption, network activity, and macroeconomic factors. Among other things, Grok AI has modeled scenarios that show XRP reaching $500 by the year 2026. These scenarios are based on assumptions that are both ambitious and reasonable. And what do you think? When you take into account the decreased availability of hopium in circulation, they are not only daydreams driven by hopium, as the value of on-demand liquidity, also known as ODL, and institutional flows continues to grow. These statistics, which are powered by artificial intelligence, suddenly appear to be more like mathematics than hype, particularly when combined with the existence of clear regulations. After nearly 4 years of judicial trench warfare, something that is finally on the edge of being accomplished is finally just around the corner. How about the whales? He is aware of it. Santimind and Whale Alert's blockchain analytics reveal that a significant amount of XRP is being deposited into wallets that are known to be of an institutional grade. In only the past month, there has been a significant amount of huge wallet movement totaling over $1.5 billion, with a significant portion of it being routed into corridors that Ripple has traditionally utilized for ODL activities. This is not speculation in the retail world. The placement of the institution is as follows. The exact same type of silent accumulation that we've seen in the years leading up to Ethereum's meteoric rise in 2021. Whales of XRP are not selling but rather purchasing, and they are doing so in large quantities. As of right now, more than 2,700 wallets each contain more than 1 million copies of XRP. In the whole history of XRP, this is the biggest concentration of high net worth investors ever recorded. When it comes to Wall Street, why is it still largely silent? What is the reason that there aren't more bullish calls on XRP in the headlines? The response might be even more shocking than expected. BlackRock, the same BlackRock that is registering Bitcoin spot ETFs and helping drive public opinion on institutional cryptocurrency, is reportedly afraid of the possibility that XRP would overtake Bitcoin as the institutional grade settlement layer, according to a story that has been leaked and is circulating in cryptocurrency circles. How come? For the reason that XRP is quicker, less expensive, and does not rely on mining that requires a lot of energy. Furthermore, in contrast to Bitcoin, it has already been included into enterprise software solutions that are utilized by dozens of banks all over the world. It is possible that Bitcoin's apparent use case as digital gold or as a neutral settlement layer might be weakened if there is a large migration toward RippleNet and XRP for capital market transactions and international transactions. As a result, XRP is not only a threat, but it is the threat to the entire narrative around Bitcoin exchange-traded funds. It's no surprise that there is so much false information about XRP in mainstream media. Concern, uncertainty, and uncertainty are the final instruments that are available when the fundamentals are as solid as they are. It is imperative that we do not overlook Firelight and FXRP. The Firelight platform, which was developed by Flare Network, is finally making it possible for holders of XRP to do something that they have never been able to do before: generate passive income through staking. Because XRP never had a native staking mechanism, holders were forced to rely only on the appreciation of their holdings. This is in contrast to the majority of other tokens. Now, however, investors are able to manufacture yield-generating assets while still preserving exposure to the underlying token thanks to FXRP, which is a synthetic collateralized version of XRP that operates on Flare. Firelight will, as stated by Hugo Fillion, the chief executive officer of Flare, allow billions, yes billions of XRP to be released into the DeFi ecosystem. Furthermore, institutional players are already beginning to take action. The Nasdaq-listed company Vivo Power has committed XRP worth $100 million, while Uphold, which currently owns more than 1.8 billion XRP, is in the process of finalizing FXRP integrations. On Twitter, these individuals are not considered to be influencers. When it comes to the long-term future of XRP, these are actual firms that are betting real money. In addition, let's discuss the XRP rich list with you. Even if you just have 2,000 XRP, you are already in the middle of the pack of people that own XRP throughout the world. This is a relatively small investment of slightly over $1,000. However, the question that really matters is whether or not it is possible for you to become a billionaire by the year 2040. Absolutely. If the price of XRP reaches $500 per coin, this would result in a market cap that is greater than 25 trillion, placing it ahead of gold. Is it too ambitious? Perhaps. However, AI models, institutional support and trends in the acceptance of payment methods throughout the world indicate that it is not as absurd as it may sound. A number of models like Gemini, Changuli, and Telegon, which are even more cautious, predict that XRP will reach between $119 and $800 during the next 15 years. Long-term believers have a remarkable amount of potential upside, regardless of the circumstances. This gets us to the psychological tipping point that we were looking for. For all intents and purposes, the XRP community has been through the fire. In the past, they have witnessed other currency rise, fall, and then rise again. In spite of this, holders of XRP have remained steadfast throughout one of the most protracted legal fights in the history of cryptocurrency. And now that the conclusion is in sight, they are being justified not only by price action, but also by policy adoption and capital flows. The shift in emotion is very visible to the naked eye. Twitter activity from large accounts has resumed. It has been speculated by analysts that XRP will outperform Bitcoin throughout this cycle, and the data seem to support this assertion. The most recent action taken by the Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) to cut Ripple's penalties from $125 million for $50 million while simultaneously eliminating planned limits on the sales of XRPs is not only a concession, rather it is a protest. There is a little probability that Judge Analisa Torres will oppose the updated settlement that all parties have agreed upon. Those who specialize in legal analysis believe that this is the last chapter. Appeals and delays will no longer be allowed. The last thing that has to be done before XRP is released into a world that is free of regulations. So what transpires after this? That is the question that has to be answered. If XRP is able to regain its full velocity, we will most likely see swift relistings across cryptocurrency exchanges in the United States, a rush of new institutional inflows, and maybe the beginning of a new narrative that is not about Bitcoin's domination, but rather about XRP's utility. Unintentionally, the ripple effect will be felt throughout the entirety of the ecosystem that is comprised of digital assets. Those who are paying attention, who was the one who done their study, and who was the one who held the line. It is possible that this will be the most significant wealth transfer of our age. Will you continue to keep Bitcoin in the expectation of a twofold increase? Have you also considered the possibility of transitioning into a utility-driven token that is supported by real-world acceptance, legal certainty, and institutional capital? If you are prepared to trade Bitcoin for XRP, do not hesitate to hit that like button. Share your forecast for the value of XRP in 2026 in the comments section below. Also, don't forget to subscribe because in the videos that are coming up, we are going to go deeply into the XRP revolution. This is not simply another altcoin tale, rather it represents the beginning of a new chapter in history. It is only for educational and informative purposes that this movie is being provided. It is not advice on financial matters. Before making any decisions on investments, would you kindly conduct your own research and discuss your options with a financial advisor?